Okay, guys, this is lesson 3.3. We are still in spreadsheets. As you can see on my screen, I've already created a spreadsheet. And like I always tell you, I labeled it in the upper left hand corner 3.3. The difference is on the spreadsheet, when it tells you to copy figure A, there are literally a lot more names than what I copied down. So when you copy figure A, I only put 5 names from A5 to A9. But what you have to do is when you copy figure A, there are names of students from A5 all the way down to A30. Okay, so make sure that you're following the directions and not just creating your assignment from this video, because this is a short version of the video. What we're going to work on today is some formulas. We're going to work on the average formula, and then down here, we're going to work on the class average, the highest test score in the class, and the lowest test score in the class. And those are 3 or 4 different formulas that you're going to learn. Okay? So here we go. So in it says find the average. Okay, this is obviously after I've copied all the data onto my spreadsheet, which again, I've only copied a few names. You're going to copy a lot more from figure A in your directions. Okay, so it says in cell F5, which is right here. It says from the function key drop down menu, select average. Well, most of you don't even know what the function key is. So it is up here. It is this weird looking symbol, almost like a backwards E, if you will. So when you click on that, we were looking for the average, so we click on average. Okay? So now you have to select what you're going to average. So the student's name is JoJo. So we want to average JoJo's first test, second test, and third test. So I simply highlight those and I hit enter, and it gives me JoJo's average, 87.333333. Okay. Now, to make your life so much simpler, we're going to use the autofill. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to hover over this square right here till I get the plus sign. You should already know this autofill because you've already used it. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to drag it down, and it automatically puts that formula in all 5 of my students. Okay? So that simply stated, I am done with column F. Okay? Let me make sure that, okay. The next thing I want you to do, I am not done with column F. I am sorry. It wants you to decrease the decimal places. Okay? So they want the average rounded to a whole number. So instead of 87.3333, they want it to say 87. So instead of clicking in there and hitting backspace, this is what you do. Up here in the toolbar, this is decrease decimal places. So every time you click on this, it decreases a decimal spot. And you're going until you get the whole number. Once I do that, I can use my autofill again, and it does it for me automatically. There you go. So those are the averages for those students over their first 3 tests. Okay? Again, let me re-emphasize that there are a lot more students that you're going to do this to. So you're going to just simply click on this and drag all the way down to your last student, because you're going to have names all down column A, their first names down column B, and their test scores down column C, D, and E. So you're simply going to do the same exact thing, except you're going to click on the autofill and drag it all the way down to A30, I believe, is where your last student is. Okay, moving on. Now what we want to do is we want to find the maximum. So down here, I actually put this in the right cell. The maximum is in cell A34. Okay, so let me read the exact direction. We want to, in cell 34, C34, from the function drop-down menu, select max. So in cell C34, right here, we want to come back up to your functions and hit max. And what this is it simply tells you who had the highest test score in the entire class. Now, you might say, well, that's very easy. I look, and Jamie had 100, so I can just put in 100. No, you can't, because that's not teaching you anything. So when I grade this, I am actually going to click on the cell and it'll show me if you used a formula or not. So you must use the formulas. So I'm sorry, let me try this again. Click on the max. And now once I click on the max, I got to go up here and I got to click on this and drag all the way down and hit enter. And you'll see it is 100. But now when I'm grading this, I click on it, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look up here in this window right here and make sure that it says max. If it doesn't, if you didn't use the formula, it will say 100 and you will lose points. So once again, please use the max formula. Now we're going to do the same thing, except this time we're going to find the minimum, which is the lowest test score. And again, you could simply look at this and say, oh, Larry got a 77. That's the lowest, so I'm going to punch in 77. Cannot do that. You'll lose points. We want to come up here to the function key and hit minimum. And again, we're going to go up here. We're simply going to highlight all these and hit enter, and you will see that. We're going to do the class average now. Okay? So I'm going to go up here, click on this. I'm going to click average and do the same thing. Click on the first test. I want to know what the average of all my students were on this test. And so in my class did pretty good. They got an 89% as a class average. Now, you've already learned how to use the autofill, okay? The autofill. So what we're going to do is we are going to take this and see if this works. D and E. So I was able to use the autofill there, and that helps me with the averages for those tests. Once again, I'm going to use it here, autofill cross, and lastly, I'm going to use it again for the third time. So using the autofill really helps you save a lot of time, okay? So that gives you the average for all of those tests. Okay, now I'm quickly going to look through. One thing it says to do is resize column B so all the data is visible. So again, we're going to resize this, double click, okay? Now all the data is visible, okay? So again, to do that, you find the double-sided arrow and you simply double click on it and it makes the column wider. In direction 8, it says bold row 4. So I'm going to go back up to row 4 and I want to click in the number 4 right next to it, and it automatically highlights those numbers. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to hit the B and I'm going to bold it. This is pretty self-explanatory. You guys should be able to do that. It also says right align cells C4 to F4. So C4 is right here. F4 is here. Right align. So I'm going to go up to this button here, which is my horizontal line. I'm going to go over to the right one. Now I've right aligned those. It also says bold cells C33 to E35. Okay, C33 to E35. That is all these right here. Okay, and it says to bold those. So I'm going to highlight those, and now I have bolded those. The last thing that you need to do is it wants you to add borders to your spreadsheet. Okay, so what you do is there's one button where you can click on it and it highlights the entire spreadsheet instead of having to click and drag over the whole thing. This button right here, this gray box under the FX, if you click it, it highlights the whole spreadsheet. Now I want you to add borders. It's very simple. Up here, there's a borders button. So you click on it, find the first one, all borders, and click on that. And it's not working. Oh, yes, it did. Okay, I'm sorry. There we go. So now I have added borders to my entire spreadsheet. And that is the lesson for today. Okay? Now, once again, let me re-emphasize that you're going to have a lot more students than I did. I just didn't want to sit here and type for an hour because, as I told you in previous videos, I'm not the best typer. But this is exactly what you do for the rest of your students in this class. Okay? When you're done, make sure that you turn it in Google Classroom. Make sure it's attached before you hit turn in. And when you create your spreadsheets or your slideshows or your docs, create them right from Google Classroom. Go to Add or Create, and then click on Sheets, and it will create it there for you before you even start. And then it attaches it for you ahead of time, and it will also give you a title. Okay? Good luck. If you have any questions, let me know.